What's going on?
How you doing, Mr. Hannity?
What's going on?
Listen, I need to clarify a few things for you. I just grind my teeth when I hear the misinformation happening. In the old days, 1970s that you refer to, when Ebola broke out, it killed everyone, 100% mortality rate. This disease that's going around now is Marburg. They now call it a strain of Ebola. In those days, we called it a sister of Ebola. I'm the chief executive officer of a fairly large corporation. I won't identify that corporation. I gave your person my email number or my email address to verify this. Ebola turns a body to liquid, bones and all, in about 2 days. That's a fact. Marburg doesn't. Leaves a body. Ebola is airborne contagious. Marburg, they never really... There have been a few instances they thought they verified that it was airborne contagious. Either one, Marburg had a mortality rate, I think it was about 65% back then. Nowadays, it doesn't seem like you get any accurate report here on the news. Marburg and Ebola, neither one, I don't have much faith or confidence in ZMapp because they both mutate so fast that you can't have a vaccine. Even if you had a vaccine, for two people, it wouldn't be for the fourth, fifth, or sixth person who contracted it. It just mutates too fast. Ebola, if it were loose in the world right now with the same amount of victims that are happening with Marburg, it could potentially wipe out the world. It's such supreme, absolutely unbelievable methods would have to be invoked in order to save mankind. Ebola is something that is incredible. So Marburg, maybe you could be the very first person to accurately report. I gave your other screener some information she can look up.
By the way, this is what I found, because I've seen the same information you have. Tell me if I'm right on this, that Ebola and Marburg are related viruses that cause, these hemorrhaging fevers. In other words, severe bleeding, hemorrhaging, organ failure, some cases death. But the viruses are native to Africa, and Ebola virus and Marburg, they originally come from animal hosts, human contacts with the viruses from infected animals, and after the initial transmissions, the viruses can spread person to person through contact with bodily fluids. You're saying that real Ebola is airborne.
Absolutely proven airborne, absolutely.
And this is not real Ebola, is what you're saying to us.
It's not. You made a distinction when you commented of Ebola and Marburg, and indeed there is a distinction. Ebola now, from what I can glean in some of the information I've looked, current WHO and CDC, they're going to call Marburg a strain of Ebola. It was never considered a strain of Ebola before. It was related, and it was.
Is your conclusion they're lying to us?
Yes, this isn't Ebola. Ebola liquefies you. Nothing left of your body in 2 days other than liquid. That's your bones and everything. That's what Ebola does. Ebola is the most incredible, powerful thing known to mankind. Russia tried to weaponize it, and so did we for a while.
What was that? Yeah, what was that movie with what's his name? Dustin Hoffman and a blonde actress. It was Outbreak. Remember the movie Outbreak and Contagion? Who was the woman in Outbreak with Dustin Hoffman? Does anybody remember? I like her, but that's why I can't remember her name. All right. Well, anyway, go ahead.
If Ebola had gotten to the extent that
Rene
now
Russo
has,
yeah, go ahead.
Then it would be extraordinary methods would have to be taken. We had a 128-man team that we'd sent over for years. I'm familiar with clear up to 1996. The instant anybody had Ebola, and this is why they could fight it then. Poof, they cordon off the village, cordon off everything, no ins, no outs. We're sorry, 100% fatality, everybody died. That's how you stopped Ebola. You can't stop it any other way. It's not stoppable. We didn't weaponize it because if you let it loose, theoretically you won't have an antidote to something that powerful. Nothing is more wicked. Its incubation rate, you can't stop it from happening. It's airborne. It mutates. It is the most mean thing that the world knows of. It's the worst disease known.
What about this enterovirus that has 10 kids that apparently is in the family of polio but not polio, and that has 10 kids now paralyzed and one kid in Rhode Island dead? What do you know about that?
Most of those have previous respiratory conditions. If a healthy child with no previous respiratory condition, it probably, I can't see how it would be serious.
Do you mean a kid that has asthma? Do you mean a kid that has allergies?
Asthma, allergy, any other, just got an over influenza and his pulmonary system is attacked, anything like that. Anytime they're weak, and that's a rough thing. But it won't go pandemic. I mean, it just certainly won't go. It's a sad disease, and it's sad to see that seems to targets everyone, but it's particularly dangerous to children with respiratory problems.
Now, don't take this in a weird way. I find you scientists fascinating because I think you have incredible minds. You know, all you guys that work in these labs and come up with antidotes and vaccinations. You guys scare me that you're so smart. I don't have that type of brain.
Well, training, my friend, training.
Yeah.
A strange way to think.
No, but I mean, listen, think about all of the different vaccinations that we have. I mean, there's, all sorts of them that have saved so many people's lives over the many, many years. Do you think the CDC is purposely lying to us?
Either. Well, let's say this. It could be a possibility, or it could be ignorance. It could be new people aren't up to speed with what happened back then. Ebola was the most frightening thing there was in the world. Maybe the new people, maybe there's a new generation here who just don't, although I can't see how they wouldn't realize. Maybe they don't want to cause a mass panic. Why they have identified this and mislabeled it as Ebola, I don't know. They've called it a strain now of Ebola, and I guess there are several strains of Ebola. You guys shut the door. We're loading right now, so.
No, that's right. Listen, we're almost out of time anyway, but listen, I really appreciate it. I do know now, Linda told me who you work for, and she did verify it, which is amazing. And we really appreciate all that you're doing and saving people's lives every day. Thank you. And thanks for sharing it with us.
And follow what I told her to do to get some more information. You'll be the first one in America who can really report on this.
Can you stay on the line for us a minute? Stay.